book of Habakkuk. You may be seated in this place. If you get to Nahum, you know you're somewhere near. And if you get to Zephaniah, you're going too far. Amen. I want to preach from Habakkuk. And if you don't mind, I just want to go to the first chapter. I want to go to the first chapter. And I want to preach from the very first verse, first to the fourth verse. Let me read it to you so I can travel in the spirit where I want to get to today. In the very first verse, the first to the fourth verse in Habakkuk, it says, "The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see, O Lord, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear? Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save. Why dost thou show me iniquities and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are that raise of strife and contention. Therefore the Lord slacken, the judgment never go forth, for the wicked does compass about the righteous. Therefore if the wrong judgment proceeded." I want to go all the way over to the second chapter, to the fourth verse, where he says, "Thus he says, Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith." Amen. I want to teach this particular sermon today in an argument form when life deserves some answers. All right. Go ahead. When life deserves some answers. From innocence to childhood, there are queries that are very complex in university discussions. And I want to remind you that life is filled with questions. There are many of you that's in the place today, you got your own set of questions. And I need to help you with something that many of you got questions that you still haven't gotten an answer for. And I need to probably forewarn you that you may even leave from this earth without some of your questions being answered. And I want to encourage you early on in the introduction, don't be dismayed and don't give up when your questions are not answered. And the question is, has God answered the question the way you want him to answer? And sometimes God has already answered the question, but you're looking for a different answer. And there's not one person that is in this building that don't have some questions. And don't you wish sometime that God would show up at your house? Matter of fact, if he just had breakfast with you. Matter of fact, if he just meet you at our house. He would just meet you at Perkins or Cracker Barrel, just a sip of little tea with you. And answer some questions that can't nobody answer but him. And many of us have questions, and we're asking questions. We're asking how. We're asking why. We're asking when. And there are many of us in here this morning that we even probe beneath the surface, trying to find satisfying answers. It's amazing to me how many of us don't have answers that satisfy our questions. One of the things on the job I am notorious for is if I ask you a question, I don't need you to go in left field. I need you to answer what I ask you. Matter of fact, if I ask you what church you go to, I don't need you to tell me we had a good time. I need to know what church you go to. And I've discovered that a lot of folk can't answer questions because they discovered in many instances they really don't have an answer. But not all questions that have answers are neatly wrapped and tied up in a package made just for you. And I know some of you want some answers like Christmas gifts. You want the kind of answer that got your kind of wrapping. You got your bow in it, and if it don't come like that, it usually ain't no good to you. And these are the answers. Questions create more questions and nag your spirit, and sometimes it intimidates your doubt. How many of you ever had some questions for God that He hadn't answered yet? And it's still nagging on the inside. Now I got some folk in here, if they really be honest for a few minutes. They're asking God why. Why you let this happen to me? I was looking at an editorial that came on about a guy that had been in service. And he once was a gang member, but when he was in the gang, nothing ever happened. But he goes in service and lose both his legs and lose both his arms, and he asked the question, why this could not happen to me when I was on the streets, but I go and fight in the army, and it happens. Why they can't find a diagnosis for my situation? Why? And some choose to live with doubt all their life. And let me tell you, doubt is Satan's secret weapon. And let me help you. Let me find my friends in here that have you ignore some questions that go on in your life. Matter of fact, you ignore the question because you said it ain't gonna happen no way. You start ignoring some stuff, and sometimes I need to help you with this, ladies and gentlemen. And the sooner you leave it alone, the quicker God will come. All others become cynical. Sometimes we become hardened. But there are those who reject options and continue to ask the same question, looking for an answer. Somebody that's under my voice today, guess what? You looking for an answer. Matter of fact, you came to church this morning hoping that something be said in a song, something be said in a prayer, something be said in a word. And I tell preachers all over the country, stop playing with the gospel. Because there's somebody that's looking for an answer regarding a situation that they are dealing with. And let me help you this morning. And don't minimize what somebody else is looking for just because you ain't looking for the same thing. So Habakkuk comes along in the text this morning, ladies and gentlemen. He was a man that sought answers. He needed an answer. Somebody you need an answer about, why do I stay broke all the time? Why it seems like everybody else can be blessed, but everybody else can get to the next level but me. And Habakkuk comes along.
he was troubled by what he observed. And he asked some difficult questions. These questions were not merely intellectual exercises or bitter complaints. Habakkuk really needed an answer. I want to talk to somebody this morning that really needs an answer. And I know you're struggling with it. I know you can't even tell nobody sitting next to you how bad you need the answer. Matter of fact, you feel like you want to get up and run out of here because you know you need an answer. And you've been struggling with the situation for a long time. Habakkuk saw a dying world, and he also saw some folk that had some broke hearts. And he asked the question, why is it this evil come upon the world? And notice what he says in verse number 2. I keep reading the Bible. He says, "Oh Lord, how long shall I cry?" Anybody here ever cry? And you've been crying over the same situation year after year, week after week, month after month, and guess what? You are tired of drying your eyes. There's some folk crying in here. I mean, and crying does not always take place on the outside. There are a lot of you in here with me this morning crying on the inside. How long in there? Habakkuk asked the question, "Oh Lord," at least he asked the right person. Come on, help me here. And one of the worst things in the world is to ask the wrong folk. Why God doing something? They can't answer some things that only God can answer. Oh Lord, how long shall I cry, and that thou wilt not hear, even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save. He wanted to know, Lord, I know I've been crying to you, I've been calling on you, but it seems like you don't want to hear nothing that I'm asking you. Anybody been there? Matter of fact, you always wondered why so much trouble all around. He kept asking the question. What he was trying to get to was, why is it that it seems like the wicked is always winning? I'm in the wrong church. You look at you. Come on, saints, come closer, talk to me here. You saying all the church going, I'm doing all the praying. I'm seeking God more than just Sunday. I'm waking up praying. I'm going to bed. Matter of fact, my knees hurt because I'm praying so much. I mean, I'm trying to pay my tithe. I'm trying to be on time. I'm even trying to treat some haters right. I'm trying to love some folk I can't stand. But it seems like every time I turn around, it's some folk worse than me, getting it much better than I am. Why? How come everybody else can be blessed? They can get a promotion, but seem like I can't never get a promotion. I work overtime. I come early. I stay doing lunch. I don't even take no break and don't smoke no cigarettes. It seems like I can never get ahead. I wish I could argue. Why? Well, I need to understand. I need to understand. I need to understand. I need to understand. Why? Tell me. Why is it that some crazy folk get away with stuff and I got sense? Why is it that folk that's always mad and always angry can be blessed, and here I learn how to bind my mouth up and still can't be blessed? Matter of fact, I put a muzzle on my mouth, and guess what? Seems like the world take advantage of me. This is the wrong church. I need to know. I just need to know why. Because can't nobody explain it to me. Matter of fact, I read Emily, I read Jet, I read Cosmopolitan, I read Fortune, I read Forbes, I read Lifetime, I even looked So he goes for it. So Stewart, guess what he did? He didn't take his complaint to the members. I'm almost. I preached early this morning. He says, I might well take it to God. Now I need to ask you something. When you gonna stop taking your complaints to folk? Come closer. That can't help people. And learn how to take your complaint to God. I mean, he is God. I mean, he did make you do. He did put food on your table. If God doing all this stuff for you, when do you take your complaint to God? Well, Habakkuk needed some proof. The prophet's questions and God's answers shows up as a record in the book. And as we turn the pages, we immediately confronted. He's still asking the question, how long, O Lord, must I call for help? And it seems like you do not listen. One of the things that courses that you can never take in school. Dorothea, you can take a lot of stuff. You can take statistics, and you can take trig, and you can take a lot of stuff in school, but guess what? You can't never take listening. Amen. Nobody ever had a course in listening. And sometimes God chooses not to answer, to do one thing, to make us listen. Amen. God says that I'm going to teach you how to listen for my voice. He says, God, you don't even hear me when I say anything to you. And I got some folk in here with me this morning. Guess what? You are straight struggling because God just hadn't heard nothing you said. Matter of fact, it ain't because you ain't been to church. You've been to church. It ain't your church membership, your name on the road. But it seems like God has not answered you. He says, look at you, God. You let the violence happen. He says, I cry, but you don't even come and save nobody. He says, you at least could save them, God. And isn't that something? I mean, he says, and as chapter 2 begins, he turns around. He says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he say unto me. Now, and sometimes you got to learn how to just stand. Harold, I'm almost through here. The musician, y'all might well come on. He said, you just stand. Now watch, he said, don't give up. He says, just stand. When life deserves an answer and it had not came yet, guess what? Just stand. Okay, you missed it. You missed it. You missed the whole forecast. Just keep standing. Don't give up. Don't give in. Just stand. I mean, just stay right there and wait on God. And sometimes God wants to see whether you will stand. And if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Stand. You broke. Keep working. Come on. Don't make me preach. Look, you struggling with, just keep standing. And I dare you to stand when you're right. I need to help somebody in here. You're going to be right a whole lot of days and can't prove it. I guess what you want to tell me. Let me say, look, I need to at least say something back. God, you know, I don't want you to say nothing. Hold your peace. I fight the battle. I got some of you babies in here. You think God can't fight the battle. They say He's a battle axe in the time of trouble. I got somebody in here know that he is a battle axe in the time of trouble. Anybody in here know that he is about, anybody know that he will fight your battle if you learn how to keep still? Don't make me work so hard. Let me just deal with it. I get out of here. He said, I'm just going to stand and watch, set upon the tower. He says, I'm going to watch to see what he was saying to me and what should he answer. In other words, somebody here is waiting on God to answer. That's why I love that song that they sing, an old song called Shine On Me. Let the light from, y'all showed up. Light from the lighthouse shine on me. And let me tell you something. When you waiting on God, and let me help you with this, God will shine his light on you. I need to find somebody here that know that God is a protector. Oh, don't make me go to church. Anybody in here know that he'll protect you, he'll keep you, he'll put a shield around you, he'll cover you. God can cover you, and better than cover can cover.
Watch yourself.
So he says, I'm almost through. He gets to the next verse. Well, watch this, Mike. He said, the Lord answered. Y'all looking for something? He said, you got a question? He said, hold on a minute. I answer. May not be the answer you want, but I will answer it. Sometimes God, and I got a couple of you babies in here, you sitting here wanting God to show up in an audible voice. Let me show you how you answer. Lord have mercy. Did you wake up this morning?
Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy.